Hello, YouTube. Welcome to another exciting episode of Simon Says Wrestling with your host, Simon. In for another review for Friday Night Smackdown, which has recently happened now. Um, Obviously, another solid episode of Smackdown. We got some progressions and some questions that we've also been having in the past couple of weeks. And I think now we're just looking forward to the Elimination Chamber, which is going to be interesting to see as to how all of this plays out. Obviously, tonight's SmackDown came to you live from Washington, D.C. It's not even tonight, it's like 2 days ago, because it was today, Sunday. And the show happened on Friday, and it happened in Washington, D.C. It was also the venue for NXT Vengeance Day. Also a solid pay-per-view that took place. I'm still contemplating about reviewing everything that happens on NXT, but obviously it deserves a shout out given the fact that it was such a great show, and I'm seeing the reviews online that everyone really enjoyed it. And what I'm seeing is basically online is that there's buzz around NXT and it's doing great numbers. And obviously, if you would like for me to cover NXT, just please maybe comment in the comment section. Let me know whether you would like for the channel to cover NXT and everything that's happening on that side. But obviously, it was a great episode of Friday Night Smackdown. Some big returns because Solo is back, but he seems that he's back with just screwing things up at this point in time, and it's hard to read what's going on in that whole faction at the moment. But it was a solid episode of SmackDown. We got some decent tag team championships. We've got some decent women's action here and there. And we also got a video footage in the whole Jade Cargill situation, but we'll get into that as we go through the whole episode of SmackDown. We started off the show with obviously the superstars walking into the arena, obviously being announced as to what they will be doing tonight. Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax obviously for the women's title tonight, and we had the triple threat match between Jacob Fatu, Braun Strowman, and Damian Priest to determine who's gonna qualify for the Elimination Chamber. So obviously that was good to see, and a lot of questions around how did John Cena qualify. But he's John Cena is on his farewell. He doesn't need to qualify. He just needs to be there. And like I said with Cena, I believe that his trip will this farewell trip will basically start right after the Elimination Chamber. This is where, if he fails to win the Elimination Chamber, this is where we get the story as to him trying to go for the 17th world titles reign, or he starts downward spiraling, and then we can maybe get a character change, maybe a heel change for Cena. But I think he's too well established as a babyface to be turning into a heel. So it'll be interesting to see if he doesn't win the Elimination Chamber, what do we have in store for John Cena going forward in this whole farewell trip. It's gonna be an interesting one. We started the show off with Cody Rhodes coming out to the crowd, obviously to a huge ovation, and it seems like the woe will never get old. Crowd still loves the guy. He's a babyface who's over, and obviously with the work that he's been putting in for the WWE, whether it's with the foundations, whether it's with the fans, whether it's taking extra time after the show to maybe interact with a couple of fans, obviously that has won the crowd over, and there are a lot of people who love Cody Rhodes, myself included, as a babyface. He also mentioned the fact that Jey Uso had selected Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at Mania, which then leads to the fact that whoever wins the Elimination Chamber will be facing Cody Rhodes for his undisputed heavyweight championship. Interestingly enough, Drew McIntyre came out, and I've said this for years, and I'll keep on saying it for years to come. The fact that Drew McIntyre won the Royal Rumble and had to win his first major championship in front of an empty crowd was a crime to humankind. I believe he deserves to win a title in front of a crowd filled with so many people that can either cheer or boo him at that point in time. He did that at WrestleMania with Seth Rollins, but obviously it was cut short with Damian Priest obviously cashing in his Money in the Bank contract on him. given the fact that Drew McIntyre had been so focused on CM Punk at the time. But I believe that he needs to go to WrestleMania to be in the main event so he can challenge Cody for that title. Even if he doesn't win that title, but I just need Drew McIntyre to have that spotlight for the main event on him once again. And for me, I've been a biased Drew McIntyre fan ever since he has returned. And obviously, with the transition that he has went from going from Raw into Smackdown now, he had mentioned that he was going through a personality change, which is hard to believe because Drew is a man that holds on to a grudge. I can bet you that much. And obviously at this point in time he enters and just lets Cody Rhodes know that it's become personal. I don't I don't know when it became personal, but it seems like it became personal when I think Cody Rhodes attacked Drew McIntyre or something like that. I have no freaking clue when it be like, because with Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre, these are two of the most, I believe, the most manipulative and delusional characters that the WWE has ever had. But at the same time, if they give you the reasons why they are the way they are today, you would be like, oh, okay, I get it, right? This is, Drew McIntyre is right. Kevin Owens is right as well. But at the end of the day, he explains that the path is pretty as clear as possible. He wants to go into the Elimination Chamber, win the Elimination Chamber, and face Cody Rhodes for that undisputed championship. And in comes Jacob Fatu, which is pretty. It's obviously a tint of the whole bloodline wanting the title back into its family. Obviously now they're not referring to themselves as the bloodline anymore. It's just basically referred to as family business. So it will be interesting because the last time I checked, obviously it was reported the fact that they want to step away from calling the group of Jacob Fatu, Solo Sokoa, Tangaloa, Tamatanga, and I don't know whether Brick Bronson Reed, when he comes back, is he still going to be a part of that group or will he be a standout entity on himself? But they're refraining from calling them the Bloodline. So it'll be obviously interesting to see what the group will be called. And weirdly enough, Jacob mentioned the fact that that title needs to come back to his family. Family, obviously, we all know they're related to it's a Samoan family, it's a Samoan dynasty. So who's going to be the person to bring back that title? Is Jacob Fatu basically saying that he's the right guy to bring the title back to the family? Or it can be anyone as long as they're in close proximity of that group. But I believe that Jacob at this point in time is basically just saying that he is the one to bring back the title. He is the only one that's more focused than anyone else in the group to bring back that title. So it'll be interesting to see as that whole segment is happening. Obviously Drew McIntyre already walked out at this point in time, mentioning the fact that he had already qualified for the Elimination Chamber, so there's no need for him to be fighting people for that spot, which makes sense. Once again, Drew McIntyre speaking sense in a situation that doesn't involve throwing hands just to make your point across. He has already qualified for the Elimination Chamber. There's no need for him to be risking an injury or to be risking fighting anyone for no reason because of a promo or something that's going on between the two. So Drew McIntyre walked out, and as Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu get into their promo, a SUV pulls up. Solo Sokoa comes out of the SUV. Weirdly enough, Jacob Fatu stops Cody and says the person that's going to be first to speak to Solo will be him. So now I'm guessing that ever since Solo came out to the ring after losing the Ula Fala, he hasn't been in communication with any members of the group. He's been hard to get a hold of, which would make sense because this is probably his biggest loss ever since making it to the main roster, and he would feel that he has let out his family. But he would also know the fact that if you lose something precious to the family, this is when people start turning their back on you. Case in point with Roman Reigns. Obviously, he lost the Universal Championship. Everyone in the family, I think, and it's not even like everyone, it's just like Solo stepped up and said that he wasn't fit to be a tribal chief if he couldn't protect the family's dynasty in a match. So obviously, I think we're gonna start seeing that cycle once again, where the guy at the top loses his title or loses whatever made him relevant to that position, and then once he does, the strongest member of that group will step up and try to take the ranks from him. So it's clear that obviously Solo was broken after the defeat. Solo was down. He was obviously disappointed himself for letting down the family and letting down his bloodline at that point in time. So it's interesting to see the fact that he hadn't even spoken to any of them. And then at this point in time, I always thought that Solo's bloodline was more cohesive than what Roman Reigns' was. Roman Reigns was more of a dictatorship. What Roman Reigns says, it goes. With Solo's reign, it seemed like he cared more about what his tribe had to say, and what obviously if they wanted to do something they would do it. But at the end of the day, they were both leaders leading in different ways. At some point it looked like Solo's bloodline was more of a cohesive unit than what Roman Reigns' bloodline was at the time. So but now you're starting to see those small cracks starting to show. And now, is it a bit too soon for that bloodline to now start showing such cracks? Personally, I think it is way too soon for them to start showing such cracks, especially after such a huge loss. What I would have liked is for the fact that we put that whole camera on Solo. We put that whole focus on Solo losing his self-confidence, being unable to lead, and obviously not being the leader that he once was to the group, and obviously becoming a liability, maybe in the instance that costing them matches, costing them title shots, costing them important matches, like obviously tonight. But I need obviously Triple H likes to leave breadcrumbs for in every story, and obviously we as the fans would like to make our own conclusions as to everything that's going on. But for now, for me, it's a bit way too early to be showing those small cracks, and it seems like Jacob isn't that welcoming of Solo, or maybe he's just really upset of the fact that he could never get a hold of him. Obviously, with this having happened, Jacob made his way into the backstage area, running over some poor camera guy. I don't know what he did. Maybe he didn't say loud enough for Solo was, and then he just got ran over. But with that happening, and then with them heading out to the back, what's really going on between this faction? What's really happening? Is there a power shift that's happening between Jacob Fatu and Solo Sokoa? Or are they just a cohesive unit that's going through a tough time because their leader lost one of the most important matches in their career, and obviously having to keep the Ulafala in the family? But we'll watch the episodes as time goes by, going into the Elimination Chamber, and we'll just maybe see what the whole story is with the group. We've got some women's action tonight with Naomi versus Chelsea Green, obviously for the qualification match in the Elimination Chamber. Naomi came out tops on this match, and she won and earned her spot. And obviously now we've got both the women's tag team champions into the Elimination Chamber. Are we gonna see more division between the two? It doesn't seem like they're divided in any way. Doesn't seem like there's any strain between Naomi and Bianca, but I still believe it's still boiling down all under. It's all boiling down all under, and it's just gonna come out at some point where it just pops out and no one can handle what's gonna happen. Obviously it was a great match, and I would just like to send out a special shout out to Chelsea Green. The gimmick that she's currently on, she's always been on this goofy funny type gimmick that she's had ever since she made it to the main roster. But for the fact that she's taking it so seriously that she even went on to, I saw this this post on X where she almost had this Outlook page. It was almost like a page with a federal sign on it, but the federal sign actually had her face in it and was written Chelsea Green, and it seemed that she would be banning the wedgie from from matches going to this point onward. And it's just special work that Chelsea Green is doing out at this point in time, and the fact that she's the longest reigning United States women's champion, she can get to make such declarations. And I'm just enjoying everything that Chelsea Green is doing, whether it's in ring or on the mic or backstage, with obviously her stunts that she's pulling with Piper Niven. And it's just great to see that even in having been defeated, she still has that comedic edge to her that keeps that the fact that she's United States champion relevant, and it keeps her socials. And obviously with now socials being integrated into the WWE, what a superstar posts on their profile is obviously very important to what they do into the ring, as you can see, like I said. And I just love the whole Chelsea Green being presidential material. She is literally at this point in time presidential material, and she is Mrs. United States of America, and it's so great to see. But with Naomi qualifying into the elimination chamber, we have now an I would say it's a very interesting situation with the whole, given the fact that Jade Jade isn't is I don't think she's cleared to come back to the ring, but hopefully she can be before the elimination chamber or after the elimination chamber, so we can just get a bit of clarity going into that. So now we've got Naomi, we've got Bianca. Is their relationship going into the elimination chamber gonna be the same with how they come out of the elimination chamber? Is the elimination chamber what's gonna start to show the cracks in that whole tag team? Yes, as friends, as a tag team, they are good. They everything on the surface looks great, but I believe that it's either getting out of that elimination chamber is gonna change everything on them. And I would have personally, I wouldn't have the tag team champions in the elimination chamber. Yes, they're both huge superstars. Yes, they're well established and obviously doing great work. I would have literally had one of them qualify and then one of them lose their qualifying matches to build that sense of jealousy between the two women. The fact that you qualified, I didn't qualify, and you could have helped me. But at the end of the day, it's two women with two big names, and they can do incredible stuff, both athletic in their own right, and they can do some amazing stuff in the elimination chamber. Do I agree with the fact that both tag team champions need to be in the elimination chamber? No. It builds up this weird, I would believe it's just an excuse to split a team up, because obviously in the elimination chamber it's every woman for herself, and you can't have that kind of stipulation in a tag team where you say it's every woman or every man for himself. You're obviously just creating a divide between the two. But once again, it makes more sense if we're gonna build that going into the Jade Cargill return, and then we have those three women I would say entangled into a story, and then everything can just unravel itself nicely. But either way, there has to be something coming out of the elimination chamber between Naomi and Bianca. Something that's bad, that obviously affects their friendship and affects them going forward as the tag team champions. But at the end of the day, they chose to have both women in the chamber, and I can see how that is business wise, but I can't see that how that's good given the fact that they are both they're tag team champions. They need to be cohesive and they need to work together. But the elimination chamber requires someone or some people that you don't work together. There's no friends in that chamber. It's every woman for himself, and it's literally and I mean the last option that you have in ever going to main event WrestleMania with one of the other champions, given the fact that it will be Rhea Ripley at this point in time. So it will be interesting to see how that friendship survives the chamber going out. And we got a video package from Sami Zayn, basically reporting from home that he's got nerve damage on his neck due to the power driver that he suffered from Kevin Owens. And then obviously Sami Zayn at this point in time he's confused because he doesn't understand why Kevin Owens would want to end his career, why this time it's different from how it had always been done before. Because before it was always done out of a place of trying to get ahead of the other person, trying to get the upper hand, trying to get to show who's better than who. Obviously there was that friendly competition that they had, but the fact that Kevin Owens took it this far in trying to end his career, now it's a bit confusing to Sami Zayn, and he doesn't understand why Kevin would be doing what he wants to do. Obviously he's hurt emotionally, he's hurt physically, and being Sami Zayn, he's obviously going to want to find out from Kevin why he did what he did. Was there really a need for him to do or take it that far to almost try and end his career? And obviously he explained his side of the story, given the fact that he said he came out and was checking up on Kevin Owens when the match ended between him and Cody. So it's a bit weird, and it's going to be crazy to see how this whole story obviously outlines itself going forward. So obviously we hope that Sami Zayn is okay. I'm just thinking it's for him to get some time off to spend time with the family. But if he recovers from this faster than Randy Orton, I'm gonna start tweeting Randy Orton personally and just asking him, so what are we doing? What are we doing for Mania? But yeah, obviously he's gonna come back. Yeah, I think before Mania. Weirdly enough, Kevin Owens challenged him to a match at the Elimination Chamber. So which means that it's either he's gonna come back not fully fit or fully clear to wrestle that match, or he has some sort of healing superpower that Randy Orton doesn't have, because I'm starting to get worried about Randy. He's been out for weeks now. He hasn't said anything. I'll go check on his page today and see if he hasn't posted anything as of late. But Randy Orton is way too quiet, and we're going into Mania season. And obviously, I would like to see Randy Orton a part of this year's WrestleMania. And obviously, with Sami having suffered this neck injury, we can only assume that the match for Sami going into WrestleMania would be against Kevin Owens. And obviously, like I said before, it's two guys who've known each other for the longest of time, have come up together, and obviously we'll have a banger match between the two guys. And we'll just see how that whole shtick works out. And obviously with Sami and Kevin, what I love about Sami's promo today, the footage that he posted, he mentioned the fact that they have been at it for years. They have been at it for years at each other's throats. Also explained why they were at each other's throats, but at this point in time, he's confused because he doesn't understand. He thought that it was just because of sportsmanship and trying to be better than the other person, as in like a friendly competition. So he doesn't understand why would get to a level where he would want to end his career. I love that. I love that portion that he threw into that, because a lot of people will keep saying, oh, are we doing this whole Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens thing? Yes, we are. If it's not broken, there's no need for us to fix it. If it has a story going into it, and if it has a storyline that we need to follow, then ladies and gentlemen, by all means, let them go out there, put out a great match, and give us some great wrestling that we know they can both give to us. So it'll be great to see. The match that we had following that was obviously MCMG, Motor City Machine Guns versus Los Gaza. Motor City Machine Guns, I don't think get enough appreciation for the fact that I think ever since they made their debut on Smackdown, they've never missed a week without having a match. They've been putting on matches at high pace for the longest of time, ever since they debuted onto the scene. So they deserve a huge shout out for the fact that they've been putting on matches week in, week out on SmackDown. And it's something that I don't think a lot of people see. They maybe saying that, oh no, we're getting another Motor City Machine Gun match. But for the fact that these guys have been competing at this level, at this intensity for the past couple of weeks without even missing a week, is so incredible to see with these two guys. Very well experienced, very well rounded tag team. Those guys are obviously them also trying to establish themselves into the scene of the tag team division, stating the fact that they deserve a tag team championship opportunity against DIY. What I love about the tag team division at this point in time on SmackDown, specifically, every team is involved. Every team wants a piece of DIY, and they want a piece of that title. So, which obviously makes those titles a bit more appealing and a bit more interesting to men. Keep a whole keep a whole, I would say, timeline as to who deserves what at what time. And with MCMG, I just wanted to give them a special shout out for the fact that they've been wrestling week in, week out on SmackDown, and I don't think they've missed a SmackDown where they haven't gone into a wrestling match. So that is obviously fantastic to see. The SmackDown tag team division is heating up. It's getting very interesting to see every week. Sometimes it might feel like we're getting the same matches repeatedly, but the fact is we need to build up one team to show that they need that whole aspect of saying that we deserve this title because we've been winning matches. So obviously it's great to see, and MCMG did that tonight. And at the end of the day, like I said before, there's no use in giving people title shots if they didn't work for them or they didn't earn it. So obviously with the wins that MCMG is picking up now, with the same with Pretty Deadly, they won a match that obviously qualified them for the tag team championships, and they're starting to kick into a higher gear of more seriousness and taking the business more seriously than anything else. So it's always great to see that happening at this point in time. And obviously MCMG won that match, picking up more momentum going into maybe trying to challenge for the titles and getting them back. Michelle, okay, sorry about that. Obviously with Michelle McCool obviously being inducted into the Hall of Fame, she is the second individual to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and obviously congratulations to her. Well deserved. I think it's about time Michelle McCool got recognized for her work in the ring, and obviously with pushing talent now outside of the ring. It's well deserved. Triple H obviously wanted to get one up on The Undertaker for the surprise event that they had pulled, obviously with Triple H and giving and announcing him into the Hall of Fame with Shawn Michaels. So he obviously did this. It wasn't on a WWE TV show. I think it had happened on a sports talk show where Triple H appeared live on a screen, and then obviously announced that Michelle McCool would be inducted into the Hall of Fame. She's the second one to be inducted after Triple H, so it'll be interesting to see how many more people will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then you guys can obviously comment and just let me know who do you think, who else would be deserving to be inducted into the Hall of Fame of 2025. So once again, congratulations to Michelle McCool and welcome to the Legends table. I think it's about time that she came out and obviously gets recognized for the work that she had done in the ring. It'll be great to see this year's Hall of Fame. It'll be interesting to see who else gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. It would be so flipping awesome to see many more names being in as obviously inducted into the Hall of Fame as time goes by. But just comment below and just let me know who do you think should also be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. Shinsuke Nakamura finally came out of the dark, finally, and he mentioned the fact that he's looking for warriors to challenge him for his United States Championship. And obviously that makes sense, the fact that he hasn't really had any major competitors or people trying to gun for his title except for LA Knight, who LA Knight lost the title to Shinsuke Nakamura. So now it's basically Shinsuke coming out of the darkness and telling everyone that he's ready for a fight. He needs a warrior that's worthy enough to challenge him for the title. And I think this was a great move on the WWE's end, because we haven't seen Shinsuke in a while. Like I had mentioned, it almost becomes out of sight, out of mind, for the fact that you have a United States champion, but he doesn't show his face as much as he should. And you have only one person basically just gunning for him. It would be great to maybe insert Melo into that whole picture of trying to go for the United States Championship. And obviously now with Shinsuke coming out looking for new challenges, this is where we had LA Knight coming out, obviously delivering another great promo with Shinsuke Nakamura. Anytime you give LA Knight a mic, he will always deliver. He will never miss, and he will never say anything that doesn't get the crowd's attention. So it's always great to see that whole chemistry with LA Knight and the crowd. And surprisingly enough, The Miz came out and referenced his old saying that LA Knight would be a flash in the pan, basically just a one-hit wonder. And he says obviously he was wrong about that, and he would just like to come out and obviously say that the crowd is the crowd is stupid because they're uneducated because they're still eating out of LA Knight's palm. And it was obviously another great promo, because obviously, like I said, at this point in time, I feel like The Miz is not about chasing those titles anymore. He's not as hungry as he used to be. He's just more about uprooting talent that he has faith in, and he would just like to give them more W's and more wins in wrestling matches so that they can build themselves up to maybe even challenging for the United States Championship. I believe like Sami Zayn, Randy Orton, and like I've said this many of times, Sami Zayn, Randy Orton, and The Miz are just working on being a stepping stone for certain superstars so they can reach that next level, because they believe that they've done everything that needed to be done in the industry. They just need to start building up more superstars going forward. So obviously that's great to see, and that's obviously so nice to see the fact that The Miz, I believe maybe has a lot of faith in LA Knight and was just willing to go out there and say, you know what, let's just put on a show, let's have a match, let's build you up so that you can maybe go forward and challenge for the United States champion with Shinsuke Nakamura. And obviously a great promo between the two, great promo work between The Miz and LA Knight. LA Knight is a monster on the mic. The Miz can also hold his own. We've seen this many times in the past years. And obviously this led up to a match between LA Knight and The Miz, fighting it out. Then what I believe with Shinsuke Nakamura obviously watching from ringside, this means that whoever wins this match could be eligible for a United States Championship match. And in this instance, LA Knight picked up the W. And then does this mean that he can now obviously get a chance to fight LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship? I'm just saying run it back. Shinsuke has had the title for a while now. I don't think he has done a lot with it. But at the end of the day, I just need the title to come back to LA Knight so we can have that motion and that attention to the title once again. Given the fact that Shinsuke Nakamura is a great in-ring competitor and he's a great champion in himself, but he hasn't done that much work to give the spotlight onto the title. You can't be a champion and be in the shadows. You have to be a champion, you have to be seen, you have to be wanted, and you have to have a target on your back. With now him being in the shadows, it's almost hard to even challenge the guy for the title because he's hiding in the shadows. So for me personally, I would take it off of Shinsuke and put it back on LA Knight, obviously for that spotlight, for the fans, how they like to react to him. And then obviously it would be great to see. In the backstage segment, we had Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss. No shortage of history between those two, given the fact that at some point Nia Jax had helped Alexa Bliss to capture the women's title, and also in a lot of instances retain the title. So obviously with Alexa Bliss coming out tonight and just saying good luck to Nia Jax, builds up a whole, are we going through the whole Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax angle going into Mania, or are we just leaving breadcrumbs to see how the crowd reacts to certain segments, and going forward how would it be taken? I've noticed the fact that we've had teasers between interactions between superstars just to get a feel of where the crowd is going with everything. And it's an interesting approach with obviously Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax. They've had a lot of history between the two, and is WWE filling out the environment with these segments, with these interactions between superstars? Are they listening to how the crowd reacts? If the crowd doesn't give as much of a reaction as they should, do they then let it go, or do they continue and then want to bring in the crowd into that whole situation? So it's obviously great to see Alexa Bliss also interacting, and it looks like she's a Smackdown superstar now, so that will be obviously great to see. And would she be then tied into the Wyatt Six, or is she gonna be a standalone entity as herself? Like I've said before, it's great. The women's division, the tag team division in SmackDown is really thriving, so it's gonna be great to see what kind of stories we can build out of that. Then we've got Melo versus R-Truth. Apparently, this was a match. This was a match that was made because R-Truth said Melo is not Tazawa. He doesn't understand the fact that when Melo says he is him, and R-Truth is like, no, you're not him. You are Carmelo Hayes. That's how your parents named you. You're not Akira Tozawa. So obviously that was a match that was set up because of that whole interaction. Obviously, as R-Truth putting on his, I would say it's more of a oblivious gimmick. Like he doesn't read the room. R-Truth doesn't read the room. He is the room. So when he walks into your scene, he takes over, and then he just wants everything to go his own way. The other interesting interaction, obviously, between Melo versus R-Truth, Melo won that match. The other interesting segment that I saw was with Melo and Miz. Melo had an interaction with the Miz and told the Miz that talent like them are not appreciated, and then the Miz just told him, we can run this. we can run this whole division and we can call ourselves Melo Don Miz. And that was a name that came out of nowhere but made perfect sense at that time. And has anybody ever noticed how Miz has a great way of just naming his tag teams, his tag team partners, and just merging his name into everything? And like I said with Melo, he needs someone with a lot of experience to maybe guide him into that next level of winning matches and fighting up against A-plus superstars to maybe put his name out there. The Miz would be the Miz would actually be a great mouthpiece for Melo. Yes, Melo can deliver a promo. Yes, Melo can cut a promo to save his life. He can go back and forth with the best on the mic, yes. But he also needs that I would say older sort of experience to guide him going forward into everything that he does and how to pick up more wins and make himself who he thinks he is at this point in time, you know. And like I said in my previous video, I think Melo just needs a manager. And for me, the Miz, he's still competing in the ring, so it's gonna be a bit tricky to get him into that role. But I think someone with as much experience as the Miz would actually guide Melo into the best direction that he can get into making himself a superstar or a bigger superstar. Because with the Miz having been a superstar before, he can maybe guide Melo and can set him into the right direction so he can actually start winning titles. So for me, it was a interesting idea for Melo to interact with the Miz, and with the Miz telling him that we can actually run this whole thing. But I would love for him to have someone like the Miz as a manager guiding him forward and obviously running the roster. You see, there's a fucking fly in this room and it just keeps irritating me. But anyway, so we also had I would say a video package from the Street Profits, and it seems like your boys are getting a personality change. All black, wearing a chain, and basically just saying when they come back to the main roster, it's belts to asses. That's what they were saying. They're saying they're done being the nice guys. It seems they're done being overlooked. They're done being looked at as the fact that they're not living up to their potential, when they know that they have the potential to take over the whole tag team roster. So it will be interesting to see that, and it's gonna be a great. It's a personality change way long overdue. I believe with the Street Profits, the whole babyface thing wasn't working for them anymore. I always believe that they should be more aggressive, because given the fact that you have Dawkins on your team, he's a big agile dude. You have excuse me, it's Dawkins and obviously Konje, what's his name? You see, they haven't been on TV for so long, I forgot the other guy's name. And I don't want to say it's Bianca Belair's husband, Montez Ford. I hope he forgives me for forgetting that name. But Montez Ford, who's extremely athletic and has that look of a great superstar, of somebody that can be the face of the WWE. At some point, I felt they were underutilized because of everything and the exposure that they hadn't been getting on TV. So with the personality change and with the change that they're going through, that will be so good to see the fact that, you know what, it's time we changed up our personality, our attitude, and it's time we actually took everything that we feel we deserve. So it'll be great to see how they come through with the whole attitude change with the Street Profits, maybe hopefully making their return pretty soon. And Pretty Deadly, like I said, they just need to leave the funny, gimmicky, soft, just looking up to Street Profits and all of that. Let's leave that behind. Bring back the old Pretty Deadly, the aggressive, the obnoxious, and the do whatever you need to do to win a match kind of Pretty Deadly. I still feel that there are elements of a bit of that it's not a lot. It's actually been turned down a bit, that gimmick where they are all just fun and games and just making jokes. In the ring, I believe now they're getting more and more into being that aggressive tag team that we have known and obviously liked from the NXT days. So with them been given the whole title shot against DIY, hopefully they can rise up to the occasion and just they will put on a great match, but I hope that they can elevate themselves to a level where we start to take them seriously as a tag team. Because now at this point in time, it was just, it was just like, oh, okay, it's Pretty Deadly again. Oh, here we go. We're just gonna make fun and jokes, and we're not gonna take anything seriously. But I feel like with the level that they kicked up in the past 2 weeks, the aggression that they've shown, and their need to win matches, it's gonna be great to see them obviously in the ring with DIY. And obviously with DIY, you can't have a bad match. Honestly, they're great as the tag team champions, and I believe that they're giving those titles the prestige and the attention that it needs. Obviously, with tag teams that are that hot and Smackdown at this point in time, it's hard to argue the fact that these guys have taken the tag team division and just put it on another level. So it'll be great to see Pretty Deadly versus DIY. And at this point in time, we have our women's title match between Tiffy and Nia Jax. Obviously, with the history given between the two ladies, Nia Jax and Tiffy, given the fact that Nia Jax had taken Tiffy under her wing and trying to show her the way going forward and how to be a bigger superstar. But in essence, she was just using Tiffy so that she doesn't catch in the title, the Money in the Bank on her when she had the title. But obviously, there's a story there, there's a bit of history there. And then obviously now, it's time. I think we had this match. I think the match was supposed to take place maybe a week after the whole thing. I think it's maybe a couple of weeks late, but it was a great match nonetheless. It showed the fact that Tiffy now has a lot of heart and can be willing to go out there and defend her title to the ends of the world. Obviously, the match ended in a disqualification. Tiffy won the match via DQ. She was attacked by Nia Jax after the match, and then after this, Charlotte Flair came out to make the announcement that she would be choosing Tiffy for the title at Mania. And yeah, and I prefer to be a positive kind of guy when it comes to watching wrestling, but I'm over Charlotte Flair for some weird reason. I'm just over it. She has done what she has needed to do in the business. I didn't think she needed this Royal Rumble win. I don't think she even needs to be in the main event of Mania this year. For me, I don't know. It's at this point in time, I don't know what the angle is with her. I don't even know what going forward. What are we hoping to achieve, even if she does win the title? Even if she doesn't win the title, what's next for her? What's next that she could possibly do that could overshadow everything that she has ever accomplished in the industry or in the WWE? I personally, I will watch the match, but I have no interest in Charlotte winning that match. I just want Tiffy to retain that title and go on to bigger and better. Because when I say it like this, it seems like I'm just a Charlotte Flair hater, but I'm just at a point where I'm asking myself, the 14-time World Heavyweight Championship got injured, almost ended her career. The first match you put her in is the Royal Rumble. She wins the Rumble. Third match will probably be at Mania against Tiffy in that match but up until then she'll probably be doing what, delivering promos, doing video packages while Tiffy's out there scraping and fighting challenges one by one. It's supposed to be the other way around. The treatment that I believe Charlotte Flair is getting now should be the kind of treatment that Tiffany Stratton should be getting. Tiffy should be the one delivering promos as Charlotte Flair is starting to fight her way into showing that she deserves this opportunity. But she won the Royal Rumble. She's doing nothing with that win. She's just out here announcing the fact that she's going against Tiffy, which we could have all called the moment she won the Rumble. And I just feel that there is no need for us to be involving Charlotte Flair that much into this whole Tiffy title reign. And if they do give Charlotte Flair the title at Mania, what's it gonna do for the women's division? What's the standard gonna be? Is it gonna be that if at this point in time she is the peak of women's wrestling? And I'm just not really sure as to why Charlotte Flair won that whole Royal Rumble. And at this point in time, if it's just to elevate Tiffy as a superstar herself, then I have no problem with it. But if they give her the title, then I'm going to start really asking some serious questions as to what exactly are we doing. Are we building superstars, or are we just now reverting back to that old nostalgic feeling of having old superstars come back so we can at least maybe tune into the show? I believe that with Tiffany, there's there's better competitors for her. I wouldn't even lie. Charlotte Flair, don't get me wrong, she's great in the ring. She's made history. She's been in first time ever since she's been in WWE, and the work that she has put into her career is absolutely amazing. But I think she needs to understand that there is a level that you need to reach, and then you start to give back to the superstars around you. And obviously, I don't know, the character that she portrays it on TV could be that she's portraying it so well to the fact that it translates to her real life, and we all really just think she's using her surname to get opportunities, or it could be that she's playing it so well and we just really fall for that on the character on the TV. And I just really don't feel like seeing Charlotte Flair win another title in the WWE. I just feel like she needs to get to a point where she says that I'm here to elevate other talent, and there's many ways or two ways to do one of those things. And I really have no interest in this match, but I will watch it and I'll keep a positive mindset going into it. And I just really hope that obviously in the ring they will deliver, because it's two athletic women in both Tiffy and Charlotte. So we're gonna look into that and see what's going on. Nick Aldis called Bianca and Naomi into the office and showed them a video of that when Jade Cargill was attacked. But what I don't understand about the video is that what the footage that they're showing on the TV, was this after the attack or before the attack? That's the one thing that I don't understand. In the ambulance, obviously, I'm assuming that it was Jade Cargill, so this was after the attack. So how does then Raquel and Liv come? I have no idea. Obviously, for me, this footage does nothing and it means nothing. It washes nobody's hands off. I still to this day will think that it's either Bianca or Naomi that attacked Jade Cargill, and it'll be interesting to see going forward who of the two did it. And it proved nothing, but I also paid a bit of attention to detail, and I saw how relieved Bianca became when they said that it was Liv and Raquel. And obviously Liv and Raquel could have just been walking out of the tour bus going into the arena, but now for the fact that they were caught on camera, they are now the main suspects. But this proves nothing to us. This is what Nick Aldis said. This proves nothing to us. This doesn't mean that this case has been solved. And they're so happy to have their names watched, but none of them have actually been excluded from this whole incident. And I looked at Bianca. I don't even want to lie. I looked at Bianca. She looked relieved for the fact that now she has a target that she can maybe target. I don't know whether it's because now she knows who she thinks attacked Jade Cargill, or is it relieved that, oh, the eyes are not on me and this footage doesn't show me attacking Jade Cargill. So it's going to be interesting to see. And we had our main event today with Damian Priest, Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman. Obviously a great match with three incredible superstars in the ring. Personally, I would have loved for Jacob Fatu to win the triple threat match, but unfortunately Damian Priest won this match. And with Jacob Fatu having lost the match due to the interference of Solo Sikoa, I have no problem with that, because that leads us into a story going forward. I love the fact that you lost this match, even though we as the fans believe that you could have won this match and should have won this match. But the fact that you lost it, and you lost it because of a distraction that took place from both Solo Sikoa outside, and it cost you the match. Now this builds up a story going forward. So it's great to see that. Damian Priest, for me, is getting the push that he deserves. Damian Priest has been in the main event for a long time now, and he's been a main event name for the longest of time now. I believe this is the time to make him into the star that we all know he can be. Damian Priest is tall, he's powerful, he's agile, and he's very flexible in the ring. Promo wise, I would say I would give him a 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. But at the end of the day, Damian Priest has always been that guy to have your eye on, and to have this whole, he has aura about him that just gives off, I can punch your face off and I can have fun doing it. So that will be obviously great to see with Damian Priest qualifying for the Elimination Chamber. And this ties back to the fact where the first night that Damian came to Smackdown after his first match, he bumped into Cody and said, "I'll be seeing you soon, champ." So now we're getting teasers into what kind of matches we'd be planning for Cody Rhodes going forward into WrestleMania. And obviously with the Elimination Chamber, we're gonna get a winner that will be facing Cody Rhodes. So comment down below, just let me know who you think should face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41. Women's Elimination Chamber, who do you have winning? We have one more spot open for that to see who do you think should qualify for the last spot in that one. Jey Uso versus Gunther, how are you guys feeling about that? And then, is Naomi and Bianca actually cleared of this whole issue with the Jade Cargill attack? And then obviously, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the likes, thank you for the comments, thank you so much, guys. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, comment underneath if any thoughts or anything that you would like to see particularly on the channel covered. And like I said, should NXT then be a part of our weekly show? And like I said, great episode of Smackdown, and we're now looking forward into going into the Elimination Chamber and just seeing what we have in store. Will John Cena win? Will John Cena come to work more often? And like I said, guys, peace.